Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, a series of shootings across 2 Texas towns have left 6 people dead and 3 injured. And former House Speaker Kevin McCarthy is calling it quits.
Plus, we are tracking some drier weather for now, but rain chances are back by this weekend. Your first alert forecast coming up as Mountain News at 5:30 starts now.
Dedicated to Southern and Eastern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 5:30.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. Police in 2 Texas cities want to know what prompted a day-long series of attacks in multiple locations that left at least 6 people dead and 3 others injured. So far, investigators believe only one person was responsible. CBS's Janet Shamlian has the latest from Austin.
Texas authorities say the violence started with a shooting Tuesday morning near a high school in Austin.
One of our officers called out, sergeants called out that he was taking gunfire from an individual. The officer was struck. He was struck in the leg.
The school immediately went into lockdown. Police say the officer is expected to recover. A little more than an hour later, investigators say a man and woman were found dead inside an Austin home.
It's just like, you always hear about it, right? And then to happen down the street from you, it's kind of nerve-wracking. About 4 hours after that, a cyclist here in Austin was also shot. He has non-life-threatening injuries. And then late in the afternoon, police were called, made a burglary call, or a burglary was called in. They responded to that scene where 2 people were found dead inside that home. Authorities say the suspect then exchanged gunfire with an Austin police officer who saw the suspect in a backyard, leaving the officer with multiple gunshot wounds. The suspect, identified as 34-year-old Shane James, was arrested after crashing his car during a chase. It was then that police linked the suspect to a pair of killings near San Antonio, believed to have happened before the attacks in Austin.
Pretty shocking for this area over here. I've never seen anything like this.
I want to emphasize that APD and other law enforcement did not determine that these incidents were connected until the last incident occurred.
The suspect is charged with capital murder in some of the cases. Janet Shamlian, CBS News, Austin.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott said in a statement that, quote, Texas is a law and order state and that violence will never be tolerated. We continue to follow a developing story out of Nevada that we first told you about at 4. An active shooter situation was reported in a building at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, UNLV. Police say multiple victims were taken to hospitals. There's no word on any fatalities. However, police also say they did find the shooting suspect and he is dead.
We were in the student union on the 2nd floor, and we heard at the business building, the BEH on the 2nd floor, there was an active shooter. We found out cops were on site, and we just sheltered in place until we were evacuated, and it took about maybe 30 minutes to get us evacuated.
Las Vegas Mayor Carolyn Goodman called the news tragic and heartbreaking.
Well, like we talked about, we had a few snow flurries and snow showers earlier this morning, especially in those higher elevations. Here's a live look from Pine Mountain. You can see the roads are fine, but in the grassy areas, a little bit of a coating with those snow showers earlier this morning. That current temperature 30 degrees, so we are chilly this evening, but up on first alert pinpoint Doppler as high pressure begins to work in this evening. Also tonight, we do stay dry under a clearing sky. And again, this area of high pressure close to Memphis, that will be our big weather story for Thursday. Also Friday, more dry, also mild weather is on tap, but we are not mild as we go into this evening. Most of us right now in the 30s, down to 36 for Hazard, 32 for Jonesville, or 37 for Jonesville, 39 for London, and 39 also for Middlesboro, also London. So we stay chilly as we go into tonight. Those overnight lows back in the upper 20s and lower 30s as you wake up on Thursday. So once again, you will need that jacket as you wake up and walk out the door, but some above average weather is on the way by Thursday, Friday, and for the first half of this weekend. Those details coming up in just a few minutes. Steve?
Cameron, thank you. The stage is set in Tuscaloosa, Alabama for the 4th GOP presidential debate. We are just 6 weeks out now from the Iowa caucuses, and each candidate is hoping to find a moment to stand out from the rest of the field. CNN's Julia Benbrook has more.
Former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy, and former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie have all qualified for tonight's event. It's the smallest group yet, giving the candidates more time to make their case to voters.
More time for these candidates to get more in depth, to either talk about their own issue agenda or to more directly attack former President Trump or even President Biden.
Josh Bramlett teaches political public relations at the University of Alabama, where the debate is being held. He says strategically it makes sense for the party's frontrunner, former President Donald Trump, to skip out.
Candidates have more to gain in a debate when it is a very close race, when they have to establish their name recognition.
But those candidates hitting the stage tonight say they'd like a chance to challenge Trump, who faces an array of legal troubles, head on.
I'm waiting for him to get on a debate stage. He can't keep hiding the way he's hiding.
Why Donald Trump refuses to debate is just beyond me. I mean, you know, if you're doing so well, you should want to go up there and make your case.
All eyes will be on DeSantis and Haley as they compete to become Trump's chief primary rival, ahead of the Iowa caucuses. In Tuscaloosa, Alabama, I'm Julia Benbrook.
Former House Speaker Kevin McCarthy is calling it quits. In a Wall Street Journal op-ed today, the California Republican announced he is resigning from Congress at the end of the year. The resignation comes after he was ousted as Speaker of the House back in October. McCarthy was first elected to Congress in 2007. McCarthy says he will stay involved with Republican politics. Louisiana Representative Steve Scalise says McCarthy's leadership will be missed in many ways.
Kevin served the House with great, with great distinction for a long time. I mean, he brought us back to the majority. He, of course, served as Speaker, but his leadership in so many different ways is going to be missed around here.
McCarthy says he will stay, as I mentioned earlier, involved with Republican politics. Prosecutors in the Georgia election subversion case have officially listed former Vice President Mike Pence as one of the witnesses who could be called to testify at trial. While Pence is not being considered a major part of criminal proceedings in Georgia, he has appeared before a federal grand jury as part of Special Counsel Jack Smith's probe into Donald Trump's efforts to overturn the 2020 election. President Biden's job performance rating has dropped since the start of the year. That's from a new CNN poll conducted by SSRS. The president's job approval rating now stands at just 37%. Among Democrats, though, it's 72%. And among self-described liberals, his job performance is 63%. His rating was in the 80s among those groups back in January. Now fewer than half in most demographic groups approve of President Biden's job performance. Tens of thousands of people who owe student loans are getting off the hook. Today, President Biden announced nearly $5 billion are earmarked for student debt cancellation for more than 80,000 borrowers. The president said the money would help teachers, members of the military, nurses, and other public service workers. His announcement brings the total of debt cancellation to $132 billion for more than 3.6 million borrowers to date. The richest man in the world wants to raise $1 billion. That's from Elon Musk's Securities and Exchange Commission filing. The funding is for his new artificial intelligence company, xAI. The first stock was sold on November 29th. Musk has said investors in X Corp, formerly known as Twitter, will own 25% of his new artificial intelligence venture. Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, consumer advocates are warning shoppers to carefully examine toys before buying them for the holiday season. We have tips to help you spot red flags before you buy a potentially dangerous item.
Plus, the forecast is looking soggy at times by this weekend, timing out those rain chances after this break.